All right, I think we're good. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, man. I just want to make sure we're good before I rattle off like I always do, and then I find out for 5 minutes the volume wasn't on. How you guys doing? So I'm wrapping this van up. Where's the other van? Oh, here's the other van. Here's that other van. It was an all-white van. So let me show you y'all. Oh, I'm almost there. The results are almost done. So kind of nice to flip up the model. I haven't worked on some vans for a minute. And this is, you know, your classic all-white van. Pretty nice base, man. I like working with it. It was cool. Very simple canvas too, so it's a good beginner shoe. And here is the result here. Kind of reminds me of that tennis ball material, that neon green tennis ball, and instead in orange, of course. And then I did that little strip here, and the cream, added some cream laces. I tried to dye the bottom, but it didn't dye so well. I wish it had been more of a cream. So I might mess around and see if I could get this to be a little bit more on this off-white kind of a color. So speaking of, which paints did I use? Let me show y'all. I know for sure I use this ivory. Yeah, that's ivory. And that's from Alpha 6. This is the Alpha Flex line. So I use that for the little strip here. And then I use the orange to do the, obviously the body. So what do you guys think? I know a lot of you guys were asking, can we use Alpha Flex through an airbrush? And I mean, I think it did a fantastic job. I think it being very thin helped it out a lot. I did try using it with GAC 900, and I felt like it kind of watered it down just a little too much. So I like the fact that you can coat this by itself. All right, so I'll put a link up for you guys if you guys are interested in this. But yeah, I'm very satisfied with how this thing coated on the van, and then also that we did it with the airbrush. Also, there's a little, the heel cup here, it's a little leather. I haven't finished this yet, but you guys can see. Let me give you guys a better view there. See, this is how it coats on there. And then when I finish the whole thing up, which I should just pretty much do it now, but because I did add GAC on here, where's my heat gun at? I know I got a heat gun somewhere here. One sec, guys. Okay, oh, there it is. Alright, y'all, so because I added this GAC 900, this fabric medium that's kind of watered down the paint, we've got to finish everything up by adding some heat onto this paint so it doesn't have this kind of like a dry, wet feel to it at the end. It should start to almost like submerge into the fabric. You start to really set it in. So it's important, this last step. A lot of people don't do this last step. And they wonder how come it feels kind of like not soft. It's soft, but it's not the same texture as the original van here. And I think that to be honest with you guys, I don't think it'll ever be the same like that, because you know you've got to have some kind of pigment that's going to be layering and layering over and over, so it does have a slightly rougher feel to it. So just in case you guys are new to painting canvas, just some, you know, these are just some thoughts that I have about canvas, just to make sure that when I do it right, you know. So let me say what's good to everybody real quick. EC Customs, what's good? Yer. Okay, good. We can hear you good. That's awesome. Who is that? Saudi? Is it Saudi? Saudi Pimpin. I like that. Scotty Pippin. Big fans. Appreciate it, man. Pizza Lock back in the building. The Dialab, what's good, homie? I like the orange too, man. I like the. It's a very cool, like a nice shoe for the summertime. And I think that the sail, like the off-white colors, they match really nice because they're also warm. And vintage is really kind of in style right now with the sneaker customizing game. So these ended really cool, man. I'm really satisfied with it. I do have a little bit of paint, and I just wanted to show you guys, whenever you have paint that you've mixed up, like a custom mix, you always want to mix a little bit extra and then just cap it, because at the end you might miss something. So I'm always very conscious of like picking things up and pulling them out like this, just to make sure that you covered all your bases before you just send them back out, you know. And the best way to do that, especially with a custom mix, is just to cap it, you know, hold a little bit of it. It's almost like touch-up paint for your car. You know, you don't want it to dry out, because otherwise you're going to then have to remix it and have the right proportions and everything. And, you know, for me, I'm like, why would I waste all that time? Just get a little 1 ounce cup, you know, and put it away for a little bit. So, but yeah, thank you, man. Dial Lab, I appreciate that, homie. Super dope work. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Do you like the Alpha more or Angelus? You know, I can't judge that. It's a great question, Saudi. But right now, this is like really my first, you know, real run with working with Alpha. But I'll tell you, it really covers nice. And I've tried other paint brands for shoes, and usually the problem with those paint brands were they were too watery. So like when I lay out stuff by hand, like for example if I'm brushing, then it would just start to be so almost like watercolors are. You know how they're like don't fill in nice and even? That's my usual problem with all the other paints that I've ever tested. So for them to cover the way they did, by the way, I totally forgot to mention, when I stained the sole here on the bottom, some of that dye crept up onto the upper, and so I had brown stains everywhere. I want to show you guys, if I can find a picture, I really want to show you guys how well this covered, because I had to tell my client, yo dude, so things were going great until this happened, and so I had to reverse that step, you know. So give me a sec, guys, if I could find it. I just want you guys to really, like, especially if you're new and you messed up on your shoe and you're like, oh snap, I messed up. This is important that you guys can see that you can actually recover. All right, so check that out. This shoe was this before. So not only did Alpha cover well, but it covered it and it was natural. Wong Percy, thank you so much for liking the stream, man. I appreciate that. So yeah, this is my before picture, guys. So that'll tell you guys that's a huge difference, because so with canvas, what happens is if you paint it too many layers, you start to lose that canvas look, and then people can tell, yo, this dude layered it like 18 times, you know. So you don't want that. You want this to cover really quickly. You want the paint to be watery almost, to the point where like it'll seep into the fabric. But then at the same time, if you have an issue like this, you want it to be thick enough to be able to coat over something like this stain, and then that way, you can still keep a natural look to it. So again, like I said in the beginning of the stream, you're not going to have this natural look no matter how many times or style paints that I've seen. I've never gotten the perfect natural look like it's a factory van. This will have a different texture to it at the end. Even when you heat set it, unless one of you guys have any other experience, let me know. I've never gotten it to the point where it feels like I could tell. But maybe that's because I've been painting it and I've done it, and I know that for sure it's been painted. But yeah, I mean, things like this, that's a big win for me. You know, seeing that. Oh, that's my son right there. Let's see. But yeah, that makes me feel like this is a good brand, you know, to use on shoes, because it had the perfect consistency of like not too thin and not too thick. So, and it covered well. This was, I would say, so I did cover it first with the Alpha Flex Ivory. I painted. So, by the way, if you guys want to see all this, it was on the last stream. So you just have to, after you're done with this stream, go back to the last stream and check that out, okay? So it was, this ivory is what I used to cover all of those dye stains on the front. Uppers on the side, I had one right here. So for me to get past that and still have a good, like, I couldn't tell that this shoe had stains prior. So that's really was my test to see, can I recover all of the boo-boos on the on the upper and still make the shoe look good. All right, so this was not starting from this. This was actually starting from worse than this, looking like a shoe I pulled from a garage sale, and then brought it back to making it look like a stock shoe. So I'm impressed, man. Yeah, that's all I'll say. I need to put a link up for you guys for this. So can you guys give me a quick sec? Because I think people are going to ask me and blow the DM anyway. So, almost dropped that water. Okay, so let me see. Oh, GTC Reels, what's good? How you living? EC Custom said, is there anything we can do, can add to the paint or to the bottom sole Air Forces to be able to paint the soles without worrying about it shipping? Man, EC Customs, that's like the one of the biggest questions I've been asked is that, man. And I want to tell you guys that from what I've seen, a lot of you guys want to paint these sole colors like a bright red or a popping neon pink. And I don't see that happening with like a rubber like this, because this is the same thing as an Air Force One sole. It's made out of a kind of rubber compound base, you know? And the problem with that is that when you paint this, it never seeps in. Just like we were talking about this paint seeping into the canvas, it has some room to wiggle and kind of bond to it. The bond on rubber is not like that, unfortunately. It's just, it's not attracted to this kind of paint. So you wouldn't be able to paint it. What you would be able to do is dye it. You know, you could possibly try dyeing it, but usually what happens with that is the dye will be a very watered down looking dye, and it will be like if you wanted a bright red, it wouldn't be a bright red. It would be like almost like you could see that you dipped it in dye and then you pulled it out and then it dries out like that. So, you know, I know it's probably not the answer that you want, but that's the best I've seen where I would give a customer back their shoe and be like, all right, cool, I did what I told them, you know, and I'd still let them know, yo, don't walk on white carpets. You know, you can try your best to take dye off, but sometimes that dye is very potent. So, you know, you could walk on light carpets or on concrete and still stain it. Yeah, man. GTC Reels, what's good, man? Patreon fam in the building. Yep, I-dye poly is the way to go on that. What GTC Reels said. Mr. Graham knows what's going on with that. I-dye poly is by Jacquard. So if you wanted I-dye poly, you would mix that with hot water and boil it, and then you would dip your shoe. And see, like, the problem with that is if you dip a shoe like this, right, you could see where the sole ends here. If you want to get to that tip there, it's gonna then seep on to the fabric. It's almost impossible for you to be able to dip this thing in. You know, the only way that I could think about doing this would be hand painting it. But then the problem with I-dye poly is you got to like put it in boiling water. It like almost stains the rubber, and then, you know, you pull it out of there. So unless, Graham, you have any other suggestion, you know, that you've done before. That's GTC Reels, guys. Graham, sorry. Okay, cool. So GTC's, I've been experimenting myself, making my Igloo Jordan 1 customs, but getting that Igloo mix for I-dye poly was way too hard. Yeah, that's the other problem with, and not to say it's I-dye poly's fault, but it's really hard to get. You know, you can mix paints together, and that's easy. You just put them together and you mix it. But having the right proportion of water with the right mint color that you want, it's really tough. But like Graham just said, I can't see, I don't know, maybe you could dip it and get it to look very close, but that Igloo is kind of like that. It's like a popping mint, almost like a Yeezy mint. It's like that, and it's hard to achieve those popping kind of colors, you know. But you might come close, definitely. I've even tried Angelus dye and just dyeing the bottom with a paintbrush, and then trying to wipe it off. But that's just scary because that dye, again, if it, you know, somebody's walking in the wrong place, they're gonna be catching some dye on their carpet. Okay, cool. So I think EC Customs got he got a lot of feedback on that, huh? It's been expensive, but if you know the colors, give it a shot on some Ross pairs that have. Yep, exactly. GTC. I mean, you don't even have to go to that extent. Maybe you could, even if you could just find anything that's similar to rubber. You know, if you can get rubber strips from Home Depot, you know, and just use them as test strips, that might even be a better play because it'll be cheaper, you know, than buying actual shoes. But he does have a good point. You have to have somewhat of a similar rubber, like the sole that you're going to be using. So, yeah. Webb's Custom Kicks. What's good, Quan? Patreon family in the building. So we got Dye Lab, Patreon, Webb's Customs, Patreon. Quan switched over. He's on YouTube now. Rainin in the building. Switched over. Dye Lab, what's good, bro? All right, so I think we're good. Do you the rubber paints or anything like that? Haven't seen a rubber paint. EC Customs, the only thing I could think of is Plastidip, and I don't know if Plastidip will, you know, adhere as well, because even when you get like your car washed with Plastidip, eventually that the car wash soap even corrodes the Plastidip paint. So I don't know how well that would hold to the bottom, you know, on concrete and stuff like that. Yeah, GTC Real said another way, you know, take the whole sole off the shoe. That's the only other way that you could really do that. And then you'd have to like dip it, almost like how they dip powder coating wheels. Something like that might go. But then at the same time, you don't want to bust your ass if you have a slippery bottom sole. You know, that's the one thing I noticed about painting soles too, is if you're going to paint the sole, it loses its grip. And so you're going to be walking like you're like on ice skates almost. And then even if you get a sole protector, good luck, man. I've dealt with that before, and I'm not trying to bust my ass in public. So just word of caution. This is I've been down this rabbit trail that you've been asking about through this whole stream. I know exactly what you're thinking, bro. I'm talking glow in the dark soles, you know, icy soles that can change different colors, reflective soles, like. There's a lot of different things that you can go through with this. So I like the way you're thinking, though. It's a great thought process that you're thinking of, like, how can you go beyond the scope of what you can do right now. So props to you, man, for real. Take the whole sole off. Okay, let's see. EC Customs 973. I don't want to do a solid color, but more of a design that goes from the body of the shoe onto the bottom. But thank you for the reply. Still, that's possible, man. Especially if you were going to do something like an Air Force One, you can have paint even if it's just in tiny bits. If it's a whole blob of it, though, I would just caution you. I would use adhesion promoter and then paint with Too Hard, and you know, really make sure that you seal it with the scratch resistant sealer. This LK resistant sealer would be great. Yeah, but I've done some stuff like, for example, like a Spider-Man custom where his leg is, you know, kind of hanging off, or he punched somebody and a character is falling off the sole. You know, you can do that, but just don't be doing big blobs, because, man, you know, like when a person walks, right, what happens? The whole sole is going to take that force, and then what happens is, like we talked about earlier, rubber and paint don't mix very well. So you just want to make sure that if it cracks, it'll be minute cracks, nothing crazy. You know what I mean? So, and we went into a whole soul discussion right now, huh? I haven't even done any work yet. Like, get your lazy ass on the sticks and start working while you're talking. Let me grab some of these brushes and let's jump into it. All right, so let's pull this guy to the side. This is what happens: is I get into the conversation, or I'm completely out and I have to catch up with you guys. So I'm just testing, just to see if I got everything. I know I'm. And this happens to me all the time too. So you know, you take tape off and it doesn't come off perfect, or, you know, you missed a spot. You always want to just kind of detail stuff out. So today I'm using a Princeton Select 10-0. I really like the brush because it's super thin, and then it also is it doesn't just like falter. I've had some brushes that as you put them down onto the actual surface, they just kind of like flail and they're not very strong. This one holds really strong, so I like that. And I use it kind of like a pen, you know. And I'm just now looking for any like little small spots. For example, here, can you guys see that? I missed this little guy here. A little bit of sole over tape here. So I just go in just to finish off any little spot here. And again, I just mix the paint and GAC 900. You know, and this will happen to you guys too. It's just important that you make sure before you give it back to the client that you get it fixed. So I thought I'd just start off the stream, which is probably like already an hour long. Just showing you guys how we finish off the detail on this. I'll push this down and I can see other spots. Y'all see this spot right here? Hopefully y'all can see that before I fix it. And you can see that mix just kind of seeps right into the canvas. So you don't need a lot of it. And you just want to trail the line. This is where you're going to develop the nice clean lines at the end, because now you're like really deciphering this orange from the sole. So the nicer and cleaner you have this, the better it's going to look at the end. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Again, just kind of looking over spots before I give things back. For example, like this. Sometimes you want to push this out. As you push that out, you'll see, oh, I missed this whole little line underneath here. So you just want to fill spots like that in too. And that's why I like this brush, because see, you can just creep in underneath. Just drop a little paint and keep moving. But this will look a lot nicer when you can really see that orange separate from this ivory. Now the mix I'm using here is a 50-50 mix, meaning 50% I used paint and 50% I used this GAC 900 here, okay? GAC 900, you can find that at like a Michael's if you got a Michael's near you, or, I mean, obviously you could order it online. You can also look on Amazon, I'm sure they have it. Who else? Hobby Lobby will have it. Any art supply store will generally have, I think, GAC. It's a pretty staple product, you know? So for a lot of people, I think they missed this little step. This is the time you just drop some music on and feel proud of your accomplishment, because you're almost there. Here you can see I use my pinky just to balance onto the shoe here. If I'm getting in a little corner here, I can still use the brush, but I'm using, look at where I have the handle. I'm holding it all the way at the end, see? And that's important because I can kind of creep underneath here and still get the the spot that I need. Also, I noticed that as I started to build up the colors with this, see this little little stripe right there? It started to get these little fuzzy little things here. I'll show you guys what I mean by that. See these right here? One right here. There's one right here. 3, 4, 5. So what I did was I used this little scissor right here and I just snipped them. Just, you know, to give it more of a cleaner look. But also, you want to make sure you do that because underneath them, you're going to see the original paint color. So I think I told you guys I painted this ivory first. So if I can, let me see if I can get underneath and show you what I mean there. Like, I don't want it to look fuzzy in the first place, so it's like probably going to have to snip it, right? Give it that nice clean line that it looked like before. I like this little scissor because it's very like precise. It's by Singer. Yeah, this one is actually not too bad. The other side was worse. Like when I cut those, you can see like all the little spots that I ended up missing here. So just give it a quick run through. It won't hurt, you know. I feel like that's pretty good. For the summer, right? Looks nice. Alright, so let me put this away. I'm going to jump on to something else. I've been working on this concept for a minute, and I've just been, I'm not going to say nervous, just been anxious, because I really want to nail this one. So let's make some room for this new project. Let's push some stuff to the side. Let's grab a cup of water. All right, let's jump into it. So I got a pair of Dunks. Let me make sure that my hands are clean first. Looks like they're lightly worn. They probably worn them maybe once. Man, I love these, dude. These are dope. So I've done a pair of these already, and all I've done with that pair was I just added the Wu-Tang symbol right here. But this is my buddy's pair of shoes, my homie Khan. And I've been just working on the artwork for these. What we're going to do is we're going to flip these up to a Wu-Tang style dunk, but he gave me creative control, which is, man, I love that. I love when they say just do whatever you want to do. So that's why I didn't announce today, because I don't want him to know that I'm working on them. I want him to see them as a surprise. But the concept for me today, you guys got to be quiet, don't say nothing to nobody yet, is I want to try to make some killer bees on the pair of shoes. So with that said, I'm going to just start to unlace them first. I always like to take the laces, put them in the box, because I'm going to lose them. So let me start to unlace them. But as I unlace them, I'm going to just check the chat as well, see how you guys are doing in there. I know you guys are. Hopefully you guys, man, I'm so sorry for coming on late, guys. I was going to come on earlier, dude, but, bro, at 4:30 in here, it was like an oven. And I was like, nah, I'm going to come back in 2 hours, homie. I'll see you in about 2 hours. I even sacrificed missing the game for you guys right now. Is the game on right now? Somebody let me know what's going on with the games. Crazy what happened today, man. Chris Paul out with COVID. Kawhi, knee injury after the crazy dunk that he did. I was just tripping out about all of the major changes in the NBA. Like, in one day. It was just like a day, and it's like, you know, people who are contenders all of a sudden have pretty much, I'm not gonna say zero chance, but it's gonna be very challenging for a lot of people to come back from these key players being gone, you know? Chris Paul, man, is one of my favorite point guards, dude. I was so bummed to hear that because I really want to see him get a championship. I don't know if it was going to be this year, but man, he's a deserving person. He works hard. He always makes the right plays. Great offensive shooter, unselfish with the rock. He's a great ball handler. Like, that's my ideal point guard right there, man. And then Devin Booker, like, coming from a squad that was so, like, behind, dude. Every time you heard about the Suns, it was like, oh, they have no chance to even make playoffs to get to this point, man. That must have been crushing. So good luck to them either way, man. I've been a Suns fan since Steve Nash and Amari and Sean Marion, Raja Bell, Barbosa. That was a great squad, man. That was a fun squad to watch. Who else? They had some other people on that squad too, man. I know I'm missing some key players on that squad. Steve Nash was really fun to watch. Just be lobbing and lobbing and lobbing. Sky High, what's good, homie? Welcome back. Yeah, you need, dude. I was gonna tell you today. We're dropping part 2 of how to put fabric on your Air Force Ones, man. So this is a good time if you want to learn how to do that. Sky High. We're doing a pair of Christian Dior front, and then we're showing you how to sew it on the side. So part 2 is going to be releasing. What is today? Today is Wednesday. So tomorrow we're releasing part 2 of that as well. So you got to catch up for that. That'll be a good tutorial for you guys who are introductory, who are just trying to learn how to sew on fabrics or shoes with the shoe being completely still intact. So if you guys would like to join, that's patreon.com/feelgoodthreads. I just noticed we don't have nothing up here. So I got to figure this out. Man, I don't think Speed Infusion is up either. Let me see if he's up. Sorry, y'all. Give me a sec. Did anybody try for those, the blue and black, they're not Air Force Ones, are they? No, they're Dunks. Ambush. I got the big L twice. All right, cool. Sorry, I had to just text him and see. I just noticed none of the links are up, but hopefully he'll be up and help us out. If not, it is what it is, right? So let's get the stencil out here, right? Stencil. That's not it. These laces, you really need to put them away somewhere. All right, for right now, let's just put them right there. That's the other thing. I'll put like paint right next to it on accident and get them all messed up. So better idea just to leave them alone. Okay, so here's some bees. Cool. Found some bees. And now, oh, here's the other one. Sick. Cool. So let's start making some bees. I've used my, was it Silhouette? I think I used a Silhouette to cut these. And it was just, I found an image on Google. I ended up making a little stencil for it. And now I'm going to drop it on the actual shoe. So let me put one of these guys to the side so we can really focus on the other one. Cool. I kind of started planning out where to put this stuff. Just because I don't want to do it live and regret it later, you know? Like, I could have put it there. That would have been a better spot. So I do think a little bit about this. Well, not a little bit, a lot of bit about it. But I'm thinking the first bee, I want to drop it to be like right here. So the first thing I'm going to do, obviously we cut out the stencil already, right? I'm going to just start to plan on where we're going to place the actual stencil down. And that's probably the most important part of this tutorial is that if you place this guy down in the wrong spot and then you finish the whole bee up and it looks amazing, and then you realize that instead of having it like sitting on the swoosh, sorry, I don't know what that was, sitting on the swoosh there, you had it like kind of crooked and up, and then you peel the whole thing off. That would suck to see that you now have to rework the whole bee if you want to have it in the right spot. All right. So what I like to do is before I even start to mess with the shoe or prep the shoe, let's just make sure that the bee fits in the area. Looks pretty good, like height wise, right? Like it fits in this little panel. I'm really looking at just getting the majority of the bee on that panel. So I'm thinking something along that lines looks good. Okay, so it's going to be like along this swoosh sitting on there. How's that look? Is that good? Oh, cool, man. I just want to say what's good. Speed Infusion to the rescue. You must have not gotten the notice or notification that I'm streaming. But yeah, man, I just noticed that the social media wasn't up and all that stuff. So, Shevin, what's good, man? I just saw you jump down the stream too, man. Give my daughter a shout out. Her name is Promise. Oh, that's a beautiful name. Promise. How you doing? She was tripping last vid when you gave me a shout out. Love the work, by the way. Oh, no worries at all, man. Shevin and Promise. I hope you're doing well, Promise. And thank your dad for watching. It's awesome that you guys are watching us. Hopefully he's learning something and he's not dozing off. You got to watch him now. How old is she, man? That's awesome that you have a daughter, bro. Kids are definitely blessings, man. Let me see if I missed anybody else in the chat here real quick, guys. Sorry. Just doing a quick recap. Okay, so I know EC Customs was talking about the soul stuff. Cool. Okay, GTC Reels. Let's see what he says. The option to get an icy sole and have an option to print vinyl. Yep. And lay it and glue it in the down. And yep. I'm doing that exact same thing right now. The only thing with that is that when you do it, sometimes if you have an icy bottom, it's not super clear. So if you want the image to look clear, that might be one thing you might want to consider as well. But that's a great recommendation, Graham. Or dyeing the icy sole, yeah. Dyeing dyeing it is painting with dye is difficult. It's challenging. So just a heads up. Also, you'd have to take the sole off. Yep. Yeah. Hopefully, in the future, someone would come up with a rubber. Man, I've been hoping for the same thing until we experiment. Yep. And EC Customs, we've been. Conversation has been happening for years now, man. It's crazy. All right. Man, the laces sucks. EC. Yeah. All right. I need to get some. I need to get some transfer tape. I was very unprepared for this, so give me a sec. Let's grab some tape real quick. Let's see here. Usually I have a couple of pieces laying around, but today I didn't. So I'll just cut out the roll. There we go. Okay. So, actually, while I'm up, let me show you all what I got here. One sec. This is what I was going to show you, Sky High. So this is what the tutorial is going to be on. So hopefully when you get a chance, man, I hope it'll elevate your guys' game when it comes to just learning how to use the patcher, because, man, there's a lot of money to be made if you can get these to pop off. All kinds of different fabrics or designs that you can do. All right, so that's on Patreon, brother. So whenever you get a chance, check it out, man, and then DM me. Let me know how you think I did. All right, let's get this bee on, man. So let's place this down here. I really like this easel that Jeff sent me because it really helps me to. All right, this is where. There we go. Really helps me kind of angle and place stuff like this down. So I don't know if this is gonna. Is this a good view for you guys? Oh, let me see. I want to make sure you guys are good to see that too. Okay. So now this is a pretty big piece in the middle, so I just kind of press it down like that. Goodell, thank you so much for following. Appreciate that. All right, now check this out. Now this peels off really easily because there's not a lot of detail behind this stencil. If you have a lot of like little small pieces in here, it may not. But today we just got one bee buzzing around here. Okay, and before I place it down, before I place this guy down, I really want to make sure that wherever his legs are is going to be parallel with this line. That's how we're going to have him look like he's or she's just sitting here. Alright, so somewhere along this line, I'd say. And the way I can tell when I'm laying this down, I'm looking at a couple of things, okay? So before I permanently lay this guy down, right now it's just very loosely sitting on there, I look at the lines. So let's check out the lines I'm looking at. You'll see the double stitch line here. You want to make sure that you're not hitting that double stitch line if possible. Same thing with this side. Now if you look at this side, look at this. I can actually see through the stencil and I see a stitch right here, right where the head of the bee is. Okay, so if I want to balance that stencil out to be right in the center, I already know that it's too much to the left side because I could see a stitch line here versus here in the back. So it's not a huge deal, you know what I mean, but it's something you want to look at before you start like laying your stencil down and then starting all that paint work when you could have just taken another second or two to readjust this. All right, so I'm gonna back it up. So let me just go ahead and put it down, and I usually just like to just kind of very carefully pick it back up, especially if it has detail to it in the inside. Today we don't, so then I'll back it up here because I want the face of the bee to be the least of my worries when it comes to painting. I don't want there to be stitch lines on it. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable. If I look at this, I can see a minor stitch line here on the bottom. But again, I want to try to get that image of the bee as close to this swoosh and as clear as possible. All right. So now watch when I peel this transfer tape back. As I peel it back, I'm actually pressing back against the actual stencil. So that does two things. It helps me to lock in the stencil in place. But then as I'm peeling this off, this is the easiest way to peel off vinyl that I've seen, you know, because you're pressing it down, and since that vinyl has some kind of adhesive, it's gonna stick. So I'll lay it down, and as I lay it down, I'm rolling this off as flat as possible. See that? Taking my time, there's no rush. Just trying to knock it out and get as many pieces in there as possible. Today that's 0. But that's because we're just laying the base down. Okay? So let's talk about that right now. So I've got him sitting down right at that swoosh. I'm going to hold on to this. And the reason why we're going to hold on to it is because I've got a second bee here. And what we can do is we can weed out some of this bee's body and we can lay it down in here. We can peel that off and then get into other layers. So we have a second version of this exact same stencil. Same size, same everything, okay? The only difference is I have not weeded all of this stuff out. All right, so let's just keep that in mind. I got to take a look at this actual stencil again because it's really difficult to still kind of see it, but I do know that this is going to be the body. All right, so let's put this little guy to the side so we can work, and I'm going to grab a couple of Q-tips, and this is a good time to test what the panel is going to react with acetone. Sometimes I've seen you put them on and paint's coming off. Sometimes nothing comes off at all. Sometimes it changes colors. So I was using just a Q-tip because we're just trying to get this section painted here, okay? So there's no need for cotton balls. This is a good, easy way to prep the surface here. It's worth noting that I'm not using like a regular Q-tip here. It's a pointed, a precise Q-tip. And that's important because you can get in all these little nooks and crannies. And you can see here yellow is coming off. See that? You can get in all these little nooks and crannies, like the legs and stuff like that, without messing with the placement of the vinyl. Really want to keep this vinyl exactly where it's at. Even more so if you're painting somebody like a public figure or an athlete, you want to try to keep the dimensions of this part here as close to exact as possible, because that way you won't have somebody whose head looks larger or, you know, off because you mess with the vinyl stencil. This is your base. All right, so keeping the base, keeping this base right here as accurate as possible is going to keep your image as accurate as possible, because this is going to be our boundary of where we're going to paint today. Everything else around it we want to keep nice and clean. So because of that, we've got to make sure that you press down on all of the little spots that you really want to make sure that are nice and tight. See that? I'm going to keep it nice and tight. Everything around that is just covering the panel, okay? So let's go ahead and cover the rest of the paneling. That's important because we don't want to get any kind of overspray anywhere, right? So what I like to do is, you know, just to cut this a little short, is I like to use paper towels. And as you guys can see, I pulled out the blue tape here. The blue tape is better here than that regular vanilla tape, whatever you want to call it, just because it's not super sticky. You want to be able to peel this off and not have a bunch of residue behind it, you know? So because of that, I'm just trying to get just the rest of it covered. It's got to be adequate coverage here. There you go. See that? And then I'm going to just put this one not way off, but I'm going to try to, I got to lock it, you know? You got to make sure that the whole area around here that we just taped is locked up. You don't want nothing to get in between these spots, because if you do, then you're going to have to be cleaning stuff up. And as you guys just saw when we were preparing the yellow leaks. Okay. The good thing is it doesn't look like it's very like wishy-washy. It kept its same consistent color, which is great. But still, you know, you want to try to keep as close to that as possible. All right. So now we've got that area covered. Let's mix a little bit of paint. Or actually, we don't even need to mix paint. We're gonna be painting white first, anyways. Okay. And I like to paint it white because that way it just really gives a nice starting base. You want to make sure that your base is consistently like solid. And even though yellow's a great color to work with too, I like to paint it white just because I'm gonna have to go back and forth with yellow and black and all these different colors anyways. So let's just get that painted up real quick. Oh, I'm running out of paper towels here. But y'all could see how, you know, I really want to make sure everything's locked in and that nothing can get overspray on it. There we go. I think that's pretty good. So let's get started here. Let's see. Before I get started, I always like to just take a quick check of the needle, make sure there's not paint on it. Alright, so that looks good. Feels okay. Alright, cool. And if you really want to test it, you can also add just a little bit of acetone into it. Let's see. We got ivory there. I guess we, oh, here goes ultra white. Perfect. Let's try to test that out. I haven't used this one yet, I think, so I just gotta pull this out real quick, guys. Cool, man. I love adding paint to the repertoire. Ooh, that almost messed this up. So let's see. Is there another way I can open this up? Probably not, huh? Might just have to do it old school. Looks like it is like filled to the brim. There we go. Got it up. Alright, y'all, give me a second here, because you can see it's got to be shook up. Alright, make sure there's no paint on my hands. And let's cap this guy out. Alright, time to do a little shaking. EC Customs working on some orders right now too. 11:20 p.m. Got to, oh, New Jersey, nice, man. Just vibing. Yes, man, that's the way to do it, man. Good music, a Corona, chilling, watching one of the. Oh man, thank you, man. I appreciate that so much. You're like you're like looking in a mirror. You're like, yo, I'm just looking at the best shoe customizer at work. All right, I'm just adding some bright white here, guys. All right, let's see what it, ultra white. Sorry, I said bright white. 3, 4, 5, 6 drops. Yeah, I think that feels good. The other thing I did the other day, man, I messed this whole cap up on the ivory, dude. I need to be probably better with that, you know. Do better, dude. Do better. All right, so let me just go ahead and lay out the coloring here. Before I do that, guys, give me a quick sec. Let me see. Because I have an actual reference picture. Oh, there's the iPad. I'm like, where did I put my iPad at, man? So let me check this real quick. So then that way we can see like what the heck we're supposed to be painting. I'm just like blindly going in. We're gonna paint the whole thing white. All right. And I might just need to paint the whole thing white. I don't know. Let's see. I totally forgot what the bee even looked like. Thank God it's only a bee, man. Here we go. All right, so, oh, it looks like I moved it. Okay. Well, it looks like somehow I moved the bee. But let me show you guys what it's supposed to look like. Man, bees are nasty little things, dude. I looked at this thing, I was like, ah, gross, dude. All right, and let me bring the opacity back up. All right, this is the little critter I'm supposed to be painting today. So let me show you guys how I even made the stencil. So I probably should have started from there in the first place. But so I found this bee. He was on Google. Googled him up. You look like a pretty good killer bee. All right, saved him. Dropped him into my Procreate. On Procreate, on this little tab section here, you can choose what layer you want to be on. Okay, which is kind of cool, right? So what I did was I added a second layer. And you hit this little add button, it'll add another, watch, adds another layer, simple as that. So on that second layer that I had, before I started to just draw him out, I went back to the first layer, which is him, see? Now you see him, now you don't, right? Cool. So I went back to the first layer of the bee, and I brought him down a little bit, like I want to just bring him maybe like halfway down, you know, where you could still see him, but then you can also see what you're drawing. Okay, so once I was all said and done with that, and I traced him out, this is what I got. All right, so now you guys are a little caught up with me. Sorry, I should have probably mentioned that in the beginning, but again, I had no clue what the iPad was, except right in front of me. So now I took this, I sent myself this image, I cut this little bee stencil out, and now we got to get this bee to look like this guy. All right, so now you guys know where we're at. So that means we're gonna have to probably color in the oh, where'd he go? We're gonna have to color the wings in for sure white, right? And then we'll have to detail out almost like the brown stems that you can see on the wings. That's really hard to get exactly with an airbrush, you know, so I prefer to do that by hand. Then you got to look at his body. Sorry, guys. His body, black eye. He's got a little bit of a, almost like a, you know, a light shining into his eye. You can see the little minute hairs on there. See the legs? Ugh, the legs are nasty looking, bro. But he does do leg day, so he's good on legs. He does squats. So this is what the bee looks like, man. So let's jump into it. This is exactly why I just paint the whole damn thing white in the beginning, just to feel like, all right, cool. Let's do have some separation. And so I guess we could really start with yellow. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but at the end of the day, I feel like this whole bee is going to be painted. So I'd like to start with the white base. All right. I'm not going to explain my white base theory anymore. Okay, I understand. Probably you don't need it, but I'm going to do it anyways. All right. So let's jump into it. Let's get to Iwata. Okay, so we should be good to go. Sometimes I'll just, you know, this is probably not the safest thing to do, but, you know, just test and see how is the airbrush coming out. Does it feel like good? Does it feel clean? There's nothing kind of blocking the paint, right? And now let's go ahead and just do a nice light layer. Maybe about, what, 6 inches away or so? And this is why I tell you guys, make sure all the panels are covered, because you see how far we are. It can spray white on stuff you don't want, especially if you have darker panels and you see white right away. So I'm just letting the, you know, mist of white just kind of settle a little bit. Again, we're going to be painting the wings white. So let's jump into oh, my bad, Speed Infusion. I don't want nothing from you. I just wanted to make sure that the the bot thing wasn't working. The links and stuff wasn't working as well, bro. If you don't mind helping me with that. I hope you're awake, man. Sorry, dude. I just saw you. All right, man. So, again, the wings are going to be a little bit more white. So let's put a little bit more white into the wings right now. You'll notice I really started to focus a little bit more just in that little area. But even though I focus in that little area, I'm not spraying a bunch of paint. Just real light layer, okay? Oh, man, okay. Sorry, Speed Infusion. Oh, gotta fix it before the stream. Okay, no worries, man. Next time. Well, is there a way you could manually just put the links, maybe just for, I don't know, for, what was it, for the Patreon stuff, for donations, anything you can put up would be great. Thanks, man. Maybe means okay. Perfect, man. I appreciate you. 1 sec's a little too late. Can you do like half a sec? Sorry, guys. It's my admin. I got to make sure that I mess with him before every stream is over if possible. Customs by Kev. What's good, homie? Oh, Yomo, what's good? It's going to be a cartoony type of bee or a realistic one? I think I'm going to try to go realistic on it, man. To be honest with you. The only thing is that when you do realism, and that's why I think we labeled this jumping into details or some jump into details. Maybe I didn't. I forgot what I named this one, but I really want to try to get realistic if possible. The only thing about realistic is it takes a lot more time than cartoony. You know what I mean? So I just want to see how close I can come to getting even like the hair fibers on his body and his legs and stuff like that, and see how close we can get to it. I almost want it to look like if somebody didn't know you, they think that there's a bee that has landed on your swoosh. If I can get it to look that realistic, I'll be really, 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 really happy. The only thing is I plan on doing more than one bee. So that I've got to remember time versus proportion. Like, I can't be spending like 17 hours on a bee. And, no one's going to pay me that much money to make small bees and spend that much time on it. So it's almost like all right, man, how many hours are you going to give for each bee? 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, It can go endless until you get it to be perfection. But I just want it to look realistic enough where if you don't know somebody, you'd be like, yo, you got to be on your shoe, bro. You don't move or run or something. Go jump in a pool. Scotty pimping or Saudi pimping. Yeah, man, just living super dope. Work, bro. You go crazy. I appreciate that, man. I would watch all of your sneaker customizing OGs back when I didn't even think about doing this. Crazy how things come into play. So Saudi, are you full-time customizer now or what? Love to hear your background, homie. Oh, the Discord thing did show up right now. Speed Infusion, did you set that up or something? It says join the Feel Good fam on Discord. Don't forget to join us on Discord, by the way. That wasn't a plug. Alright, let's jump into one more layer here, real soft. And I think we're good with the white. This is why I try not to pour too much paint, because now the rest of it, what am I really going to do with it, Where'd that iPad go? Oh, here it is. Okay. So now let's really take a look at all the other colors that's here. Oh man, this gets to be very look at that. That looks like where do you even start? Where do you start with this? Have you guys thought about that? Have you guys tried to paint something real and say, oh damn, this is hella detailed. Where do I start? That's kind of what's going through my head right now. I think when I look at the actual picture though. Ryan Martinez, thank you so much for liking the stream, homie. Appreciate you. When I look at the bee, I think, all right, well, you got to start somewhere, right? And color is always a great first start, right? Besides having all the little hairs and you can see the stems in his wings and what's coming out, from his eye or whatever. The first thing I think about is let's get the guy somewhat to the same colors as his body looks, okay? So for example, in here, when you really zoom in, you can see there's kind of hits of brown, there's hits of like a blondish color. So you got to start to think, okay, how can we get those colors incorporated in the right sections, okay? In the back of him, you can see 1, 2, and 3. There's 3 almost segments that you can see that are black. How are they separated? They're separated with a little bit of blonde hair, little bit of blonde hair, a little bit more blonde hair. And so then you can see even on his legs, they're not black hairs, they're actually light colored blonde hairs. So, when I'm getting into it, I got to say, okay, let's start off with getting the lighter portions put in and then getting to the darker portions. One way or the other, you're going to have to start painting. So let's look for some colors that look similar to this body here. I'm going to have to move this guy just to the side just to take a look at my paint selection. As I'm doing that, though, you really want to be careful with how you're handling it, You want to make sure that everything stays pressed down. Sit. All right. Hopefully that doesn't fall. Knowing me, that's gonna end up falling, but that's all good. We'll fix it if it falls. All right. So let's see what we got here. So immediately for me, I'm looking for a color that has somewhat of a similar base in the whole shoe, or the whole bee. And I'm looking something like along the lines of a mustard. A mustard is a nice kind of mix between all of the yellows there. Okay, it's light enough so if I need to paint something a little bit lighter or darker on top of it, you're not going to be layering a lot of different layers. This color is taupe. It's kind of a good combination if you add the two and try to get more darker colors as well. See that right there? It looks like it's going to be this color, but it's shaded in darker. So something like a taupe might work. Let's see, I got a jet black. Using a jet black is going to be kind of an obvious play, right? Because we've got to get the legs in proportion, but when I really look at the legs, I could see that it has a hint of like browns to it. All right, so you know, something like a light brown, just to add into the black, just to change even the shade up, you know, just a tiny bit might help out. All right, and where else are we at here? I think this is kind of a good little start. You know, maybe we need something a little bit lighter, right, to get to this kind of a blondish color. But that's kind of like, you know, far and few between. There's not a lot of hits like that, so maybe we can save that for the end, you know, because that's more of like a detail right at the end. Like this right here, you can see it's kind of overtaking the rest of the area, but it's not like that everywhere, you know. So let's I'm gonna go ahead and dump out that white from the airbrush first. 3 months in, huh? It gets easier, man. Just like anything, right? Like if you're weightlifting and you first started to learn how to bench press, you got to get the form right before you really start to see gains, right? This is just like that. There's so many things that you've probably practiced and you're like, oh man, this is kind of tough. And then you start to get into the rhythm and understand. You start to mentally prepare for what you are going to be faced with. And that's important. Especially because you become more confident in yourself, right? Just giving this like a quick rinse. Doesn't need to be perfect. But I do want to try to get out anything like that feels solid or might clog this airbrush. There we go, cool. Just drop a little bit more in here. Just a little bit of acetone, let it settle in there. Capovelli, he said the hair on his top part, bro. Yeah, man, I'm like looking at little things like that, and it's gonna be this is gonna be an interesting ride. I don't know how long this is gonna take me, but it's nice that we have it on recording because then I could kind of figure out, and then I still have to or at least record the time offline, you know, because there's gonna be a lot of off time to do this. I already know it. Y'all will not want to see me sitting here like painting hair fibers and follicles. That sounds hella boring. All right, let me get some room here. All right, how do we feel, guys? What do you guys think? Should I start by airbrushing this guy? Should I start by hand painting some color into it? How would you guys start on this? I'm interested in hearing your guys' thoughts. It's nice when you guys can share your thoughts because us as a community, we become more, how do you say, you know, like there's different ways to complete this same process that we're looking at today. And so maybe you've thought of an easier way to do this. Hey, please, if you do, please let me know, because I'm 100% interested. I'm 100% invested in your idea if I could finish this quicker with the same quality. All right, where did we put the? Here we go. Oh, bro, I'm nervous. Should I be nervous? I don't know. I feel like I'm always nervous behind every project. Could be something simple. I was nervous painting that van the other day. Alright, let's start here. Let's see. I'm trying to get everything in the camera so y'all can see with me. I don't think it's gonna fit, but let's try it. And then I gotta be comfortable too. And I can't get paint on my iPad, dude. That would suck. Alright. So I do think we need to start with a little bit of this mustard. Hey, you feel good about that. Yeah, Saudi, for sure, man. It's but that, you know, the good thing is you're feeling like you're more confident, and I'm sure that the quality is also getting better, right? Like you can see like now you're designing and detailing things with a little bit more consistency. Like we were talking about earlier with the Vans, the edges are looking more cleaner. They look more like a factory shoe. All right, again, I'm going to just spray here just to test and make sure it feels right, okay? You'll understand, like, once you get into airbrushing, you get this certain feel, just like when you're jumping on a bike, right? And you're starting to pedal, you know, like, that right feeling that there's no clogs in the brush, okay? That's important to me, that there's no clogs. All right, let's just start to kind of feel out where the things would be here. Oop. Did not mean to go that deep. Oh man, I think I missed a little. Yeah, I did. I just noticed that. There's a couple of pieces here that I left on there. Okay, so that's on the back. Let's go ahead and just peel those off real quick. Good thing I noticed that now rather than later. I mean, they're going to end up being like more of a blackish color anyways. So you'll see that? This one and this one here. There we go. Okay. Let's see here. Push this guy back in place a little bit. Yo, no offense, but bees are really ugly looking, man. I didn't expect to be this close to this killer bee. Really just trying to get that same shape that he's at right now. And remember, the whole color doesn't need to be perfect here. Because we're going to be coloring on top of it anyways. All right. Slight bits of yellow in the wings. So I put a little bit on the wings, okay? You can always dial it back to white too, okay? So now this is the problem. See, I put way too much paint in there. The good thing is it's pretty much clean, it's new, so let me see if I can maybe just dump this back in. I hate wasting paint if I don't have to. Yeah, that got a good majority of it out. Okay. Now let's get into the black sections here. Actually, you know what? Let me see. I can maybe jump into a little bit of that taupe. We'll mix it. Good time to, because the airbrush still has a little bit of mustard in there, we can now darken that and make like a slightly different shade. So I'm just dropping a little bit of that taupe in there now. I don't want either one of the two colors to really overtake. So I think this is kind of a good mix, but let's take a look. Let's mix it. Alright, so it looks like the taupe overtook the mustard a little bit. It's not bad. I think that's pretty close. So now before I start to just shoot this all over the place, let's take a look, like this top body. Can you guys see that? Let me show you guys. This top body right here seems like it's a little bit darker, so let me just at least try to get somewhere closer to that. Again, I'm just spraying here just to feel the pattern. You can always spray off of the brush, off of the shoe, or if you have a napkin, for example. napkin will give you a good idea of what the color will look like. See, now I'm starting to see the taupe is coming in. So now I can go ahead and hit it. So I'm coming in there really tight. Okay, let's look for any other spots that might need a little bit of darker tones. For example, the back end here. All right, a little bit underneath the leg. Okay, even the body can be a little bit darker. I mean the head, I'm sorry. And I think that's a good start to that. Adding a little bit there. Cool. And now I've got a bunch of paint here. I cannot drop this into any bucket here, okay? Because clearly it's a mixed color here. So you might want to either store it because you might be using this color again. Okay, that would be one thing. Or you could dump it out, one or the other. So I'm going to just go ahead and dump it out. Just because I could mix this again. It's not that much paint. Sorry guys, give me a sec here. Okay, so let me see what Sadi's saying over here. He said, I'll probably start with the brush. Maybe the base color of the B, which is maybe that brown since it's from his body. Then maybe add the hairs and whatnot. I'm working on some of the weekend shoes right now. Oh, dope. Are you doing a pair for the weekend, or you're doing it like the weekend themed? That's sick. Either way, I love the weekend. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm so happy to hear that. I just read your last comment here, Saudi. You said, yeah, also from watching pros like yourself, I gain more knowledge and just be able to see what works and what doesn't. Yeah, absolutely, man. That's kind of why I do this. You know, like I could just be, you know, at the house. I think one of you guys said like just listen to music, chilling, you know, and doing my work. But I like to do this and have a little community of customizers. I feel like we don't really have that, you know, in a live stream. So it's cool to see that, and we're starting to grow. That's the best part. Still real mustardy there, right? So keep going. Sheesh. The black still hasn't hit? Oh, did I put black in there? Yeah, I did. I think I didn't mix it. I'm trying not to get it to be like black. It needs to be like a browner tone of it. There we go. Now, see, now you guys can see how it's starting to hit into like a darker tone. This is where we can now mix our next segment of the B, okay? Now I'm looking at it. That's going to be the 3 stems in the back. And I'm looking at the picture. I can see there's like a minor separation between the wings and the 3 stems, okay? So I don't want to get too close to it, but close enough. Sometimes you'll have paint that blocks your nozzle. Make sure you clean that off. Okay, that looks good. Now, I've got a darker tones right here. Can you guys see like right here and right here? So I'm going to do the same thing, or at least try to mimic it as close as possible. He's got his legs, which I'm not gonna try to airbrush those in yet. I'm going to kind of keep those middle legs for the end. But I'm going to try to hold my hand here because I want to make sure that this is real stable when I do this, okay? There's right underneath his wing. is where the first portion starts here, okay? Let's make sure that the brush is coming out smooth first. Okay, that feels smooth. Now I'm looking here. So that little area there, and then right here, okay, is where that little other area is. Now we've got legs popping out, and then we've got, okay, we've got to do his head a little bit. Okay, a little bit darker there, right? His eyeball. It's got to be real close and real tight here, okay, when we do the eyeball. I still think that we haven't gotten exactly to that dark black yet, but at least to start the foundation up here, okay, of his eyeball. And I'm noticing here, like on his eyeball, guys, check this out. His eyeball pretty much goes from here all the way straight down. Y'all see that? From this top here. So I'm going to shoot all the way straight down. He's got an antenna that's blocking. But that's, besides the antenna blocking, it's going to go straight down. And then we're going to just do almost like a teardrop coming back up. Sometimes it takes me a second here to really get the nice stream going. It's really like thin and small, so alright. That looks pretty good. I think we're making some decent progress today for just kind of starting this off. I'm going to do the same thing with the front end of his face. Add a little bit of darkness. Just a little bit. Alright, so now we got some legs that I've got to add. Man, legit, this thing is so ugly, yo. Alright, I think the leg here, I might have to peel it out. Let me see. Yeah, buddy. See this little guy here? It's kind of nice that I didn't use the other one yet, but I can see that this is his first leg here. I'm trying to keep the rest of the stencil on. But the cool thing is I got a good idea where this first leg's at. And the reason why is I forgot to peel this part up. This little guy should have been peeled up. That's okay, it's a darker piece, so really gonna try to hit that, just the yellow part here. That's his leg. Oop, that was a little heavy. That's okay. Just the idea of knowing where it's at is a good thing, you know? Because now I can start to, you know, it's like solving a puzzle piece. Now I can see that the rest of the body is right there. See, and it's kind of going up like in a straight line. So I'm going to just follow that straight line. Again, I'm trying not to rush it, you know. If I pull that trigger back too hard, what happens is a bunch of paint splatters out at the same time, so it's going to ruin everything. Okay, so there's paint in there. It's just not coming out. So I'm, again, taking my time on it. There we go. Now it's coming out. Cool. Alright. Now we're really starting to develop the body. Trying to get an idea of where things are. Alright, so it looks like I've got another leg here. Let's start to develop that one now. Alright. And then we got his hind leg, which is the nastiest looking one. Look at that big old hind leg right there. You see that? I got to develop that now. Alright? So it tucks underneath, winds up, and then comes down. This kind of helps when I'm just kind of talking it through, by the way. So if you need to talk it through, that's never a bad thing. There we go. Just trying to get to recognize all of the light spots and the dark spots. Makes me feel like things are coming together. And that's important, you know. You feel there's some kind of progress being made. Trying to get this little dark spot for the wing. There we go. Alright, so I think let me show you guys where we're at. I know, sorry guys, I know I haven't been interacting with you guys as much today just because I really am trying to nail this bee down. But let me pick this up real quick. Show you guys where we're at with the bee. Seems like nothing, right? Like it almost seems like, dude, that looks like a splotch. Like that doesn't look like a bee. I know. It's not about what the bee looks like yet, though. You know, it's about feeling that there's some kind of progression that you just made, right? So now we've established the base. We've added a little bit of color. What do we do next? What's your guys' thought? What would you do next here? I'd love to hear what you guys would do next. You guys are like, well, I wouldn't have done that first in the first place, so I don't know what I'd do next. But I'll tell you guys in a minute. I'm going to just take a quick water break here. Oh, man, that's good. Oh, nice. Sadi, are your EC Customs as well? I noticed you guys are all jumping on YouTube. Is there a reason why you guys are all jumping? Because you guys will start on Twitch, and then a lot of you guys are jumping on YouTube. Let me know if there's a reason. Is the stream better? Like, do you guys prefer it better on YouTube? The Airbrush Compressor. That's a great question. What is it? Iwata Studio. That's what it is. Iwata Jet Studio. I also have a Grex compressor as well. So I have two. Well, I actually technically have three compressors, but I use two of them right now, just because. I mean, I got enough airbrushes where I think two of them is good enough, and I could just switch back and forth. I have this thing here. It's called a quick release. See this? And then you can pop on another airbrush. It's easy to use, you know? So I don't need a bunch of compressors. I just need enough guns where I could pop them in and out. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you know what, dude? That's because some compressors you can buy them and you think that they look, you know, they might have great reviews and everything, but for the price, whatever you're getting the compressor at. Actually, if you can Instagram or DM me, I'll show you where I got my compressor and setup and everything. It was reasonably priced when I got it, and I like it because of the fact that it's not always like it's on right now, but it only turns on when I'm actually using the airbrush gun. Very quiet. I've had it for since 2014, so man, it's been a while now, and I haven't serviced it or anything. So it's a great tool, man. Your compressor really helps with the output of how the airbrush actually comes out. You know what I mean? Gotcha. YouTube's easier. Okay. Is Twitch just kind of like Graham? Thanks for the feedback, man. Is Twitch just more like how do you say it? Just kind of like easier to or harder to log into, or is the graphics, the user interface not great? I don't know. Because I don't really use Twitch that much myself. You know, I'm just always content creating, so it's hard for me to understand. You know, I really appreciate you guys letting me know though, because then that way, I don't know if I can somehow help you guys with the stream or whatever. I'm definitely here for you. You know, so Sky High, you're back, bro. User interface, okay, I feel you, man. Well, there's not much I can do about the user interface, Graham. So the only thing I can do is offer this to you guys on YouTube. So I think you guys have already taken advantage of that, right? Okay, now I'm just looking for any little spots that I could shade. There's a big difference right now with the shading on my B versus the one here. Namely, that a lot of the shading that's on mine's are splotchy looking, and these kind of are more natural transitions. So now anything that I see that looks a little too, you know, like off, like it doesn't look natural, I'm just trying to shade it in. Just a little bit here, a little bit there, nothing crazy. All right, I think that looks good, man. So by the way, I didn't tell you guys my next step. So let's talk about my next step. I think that now I feel like the majority of like the airbrush work looks good on it, you know. So what I'm gonna do now is dump the rest of this paint, which isn't a lot, you know. I could technically even move it over to you know, like a little palette or whatever, but I'm gonna just dump it out. And the reason I'm dumping it out is because I'm going to just do one small layer, and this is just going to be pretty much all black. Maybe a little bit of brown, you know, just to add a little tint to it. But what I want to do is just knock out any of the darkest colors, because this is your opportunity to use that airbrush maybe one last time before I start to freehand paint. At least this is for me, you know. I know some people are very good airbrush artists. They could probably paint this with just airbrush by itself. I prefer to use a combination of airbrush and hand painting, just because that's, you know, this is all preference, right? Some people like to run 3 miles, take their time. Some people like to sprint 1 mile and be done with it. Either way, you exercising, and that's your preference. That sounds good. I can hear it. I can hear the air that's pushing through there, which is always a good sign. And so let's just lay a little bit of black. I'm gonna just put like a drop or two. That almost makes me a little conscious of how much to use, right? You don't want to use too much black here. We don't have too much black there. Okay. So let's think. We got to do maybe a little bit of his head there. First, let's get to that like darker black. We're almost there. Okay. It's not shooting. So I've got two, you guys can see this right here? Two like panels. So panels, I don't know what you want to call it. Stems. I'm going to try to do that as much as I can. This is a longer one. Also notice it's going from here, left, and it's kind of at an angle. So I'm kind of missing that angle right there. I gotta readjust it. Doesn't need to be perfect, but, you know, because it's just a bee, but, you know, I want to get as accurate as possible as a picture. There we go. Now we move in. Now we move in. Let's go. Alright, so now that's good. Now I'm going to do the leg underneath. This big old nasty leg. One there. Then his bigger digit is here. Notice how I'm using my other hand, guys. It's just to help me hold. It's helping me just kind of hold direction. Okay, and we're gonna definitely have to lighten up a little bit underneath him. And we got this last one here. Cool, got that one down. And now let's do his eyeball. Try to get him now. Alright, so his eyeball starts from like just the top of his head, maybe a little bit slightly underneath. Remember, it tilts down. It's pretty good, pretty good. Little dark. Little dark. I think we'll just leave it. Just leave it as is. And just get the little top of his head there. Notice I'm shooting off of the actual stencil there. I'm shooting onto the actual tape part just to get little hits that I need to look dark. For example, you see that little hit right there? It's a very minute little hit. Let's try to get it to look as close as we can. Such a small hit, I'm gonna just barely nick it. See that? Just barely nick it, like just to have that color there. And let's do the back end here one more time. There we go. Sick. Jade, thank you so much for following. People are still awake, huh? That's cool, man. Thank you guys for rocking with me, man. It's 9:30 p.m. out here in West LA. So, you know, if you guys are up, shout out to you guys for being up. Who else is up on right here? Check out Caffeine app as well. I think you can play music there. Oh, man. GTC Reels. You are the MVP for that, bro. It's so boring. I mean, not you guys are not boring. It's just so boring to be in here and not have some kind of background noise. You know, so that really helps me out. So thanks, man. It's called Caffeine, huh? All right, cool. I wonder if that can sync up. What do I have here? Sonos. I wonder if it syncs to Sonos speakers. Because I know they're very, like, particular about who's invited to Sonos, right? I think I use my Amazon right now. Okay, EC Customs uses a combination of both. I'll try to DM you for the airbrush. Yeah, no worries, man. And dude, you should look into the Patreon channel if you're not already part of it. This stuff is kind of minute to what we learn on the Patreon channel, bro. All right, so let's unveil this guy, man. Let's see what this looks like. Hopefully, I didn't get any overspray anywhere. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to move this to the side just so y'all could see the unveiling right. I'm going to try to give you guys a nice bird's eye angle. And I think maybe I might have to call it in a little bit, guys, because it's almost 2 hours into the stream. I know you guys are probably tired of me at this point. All right, so here goes our first bee. Here we go. So that's going to be... This looks like me at nighttime when I don't have my glasses on. It's a very blurry version of the bee. But the cool part about it is I recognize all of the little spots on the actual bee. And I think that we're in a pretty good position now to detail this bee out with actual paintbrushes. Okay, so let me give you guys another close-up there. Can you guys recognize that as a bee? I'm sure you guys know it's a bee because we just went through, but it's looks pretty cool. That looks pretty cool. Let me take a look now back at the actual bee here, and as I do, what I want to show you guys is a quick trick, and hopefully this will help you out a little bit. You guys can see here in between the legs there should not be any, well, there's white on the background here. We want the background to be yellow, like the bee is just sitting on there, okay? So we want to kind of come back to that original yellow color. So the yellows I'm going to be seeing, any white spots that I see should be yellow. Let's grab a Q-tip. Now it should be a precision Q-tip, like a precise, sharper ones. And I'm going to put a little bit of acetone onto it. And what we'll do is we'll just put we'll position this in the right spot so we can look. But now we can start to build, almost like draw the body and get rid of some of the unnecessary paint that we don't need here, okay? So I've got a leg that's right here. So I'm going to see if I could just, this is almost like reversing our steps here. And I do this because, yeah, I know I shouldn't have painted this part white, but it happens. But reversing your steps is not a bad thing. This is almost like you're reverse painting. And when you do this, now you can start to eliminate, instead of painting all of this stuff back yellow, it's already back to its original color. At the same time, if you need to, this is a good time to shape the body of the bee, get it to look a little bit closer to what it's supposed to look like. And you can start to make this look kind of furry, like almost like it has hairs. This is a good time to do that. Also, if I did a little too much, for example, on the body, and I need to separate, like this is really, really dark in this area, you can also kind of shape things in here now as well. And this is almost like your reverse painting. So here, if I need to, I can start separating like these segments of his body. See? Just got to be careful when you do this, though. You don't want to do too much of it because, see, I did too much right there and it got to white. But this is a good way to start to create some kind of separation between stuff. See here, he has got his like neckline and his actual body here. So I'm going to try to act like little hairs. See, like I'm painting like little hairs right there. All in the same direction which they are on his body too. May not be perfect, but it's a good start for transitioning all the colors. What you want to create is like that look of small little fibers that are on his body. And so when you're doing that and you're like painting in the same way, you'll start to create that. Alright, so just make sure that as you're doing this, you're switching up your Q-tips. They got to be switched up and fresh. Alright? Things like his leg, if I did him too big, this is a good opportunity for me to start to shape his legs out. So like now, see, I'll go in and let's thin those bad boys out a little bit. Oh, I noticed it wasn't at the right angle. I could thin that out a little bit. And just to start to get to the actual same stance that this little bee's in, we can do that. And we can do that with acetone. So a lot of people won't tell you, but you can. Technically, we're painting here, but it's just with acetone. It's cool, right? Like it's a different technique almost. And this is how you can kind of create the shades that you need. So for example, like right here, his leg needs to be more defined. So let me take off a little bit of the darker paint underneath it and start to define him out a little bit. Switch up. If I feel like there's enough paint, then I can re-up, put a little bit more acetone. This is almost like melting the paint, and so that's a great time when you need to like have this kind of fuzzy look or blurry look. You know, melting the paint will do it. It'll definitely do it. The only thing is as you do this, costs you a lot of Q-tips. I mean, as long as you're okay with that, which I'm okay with that, you know, as long as I'm getting to the area that I need to be, I'm getting that progress that I have, that I need, then I'm cool with that. You're going to have to spend money on supplies one way or another. So alright, now I know his eye, I messed up on it a little bit. We can start to distinguish his eye. Lighten up spots that need to be lightened a little bit. Nobody gonna show you this, I promise you that. Either people are going to think I'm an idiot for doing this, or they're going to take from it. One or the other. What did he teach you? Use acetone. Why? You're destroying your work. You're not destroying it. You're manipulating it. There's a difference. Where's that little spot? I know we had a little spot that was like highlighted. Remember that? We talked about that in the beginning. This little spot underneath the wing. So let's work on that little spot. It's probably around here somewhere, right? Yeah. This way you actually use less paint. And that's good, because I don't know if you guys have ever put acetone and paint together. You know, like for example, like when I'm trying to clean my airbrush out, and I'll just dump some acetone in there. I'm like, oh, it'll just melt the paint. It'll melt the paint, and then I'll just clean it all up. It'll be easier to clean it that way. But then I forget all about the acetone in there. The boy Ivan, thank you for following, homie. I'll forget about the paint in there, and then the next day I'm like, oh snap, I forgot about that damn paint. And dude, it is super, super hard to take off. So if you're wondering about will this paint last on here, I think 100% it'll last. In fact, I think it might even be a little bit more difficult to take off, you know, the way it is. Alright, so his body is about like right here. And now you guys could see why I painted white on the wings, because we can we're like staining the wings now to look like the way they should. Alright, let's see. What's next, guys? Let's grab a little nice thin. What is this? Oh man, 1/16. But look at this, acetone hit the side of this thing here, and it melted it, so that's why that looks the way it does. We can let's start adding a little bit of detail, okay? Let's do something easy. Let's do something like the legs and the eyes, because we can clearly see them, right? Let me grab a little bit of black. This is me being lazy. I'm just gonna open the bottle and just use it from the cap there. I dip it just a little bit. This is a Princeton brush, by the way, Princeton Select. And now, before I just start to paint on there, I always overdo the paint. So I've now realized, before I do that like an idiot, let me dab a little bit of it off. So I'm going to just dab it off on this. You know, because you're working with a really small, minute stuff now, you don't want to just put a bunch of paint on there. Okay. So as I'm adding this paint on here, I'm looking at the actual bee at the same time, y'all, okay? Like really trying to get locked in here and make sure that we're wherever this dude's little leg is here, nasty ass leg, we're about to get pretty much in the same position. But again, I dumped too much paint, so because we're not working with a big space, you just want to make sure there's little paint involved. So we're looking like, see, there's a little bit of a separation between the two. And then I'm going to just start to come up here. And without going too far up, somewhere along the lines here, we're going to see his second leg there. Okay. This is more, guys, for getting my positioning right before I really start to deep dive and detail stuff. This is just me getting situated with, all right, man, you know, you got the shape right on the outside, and now let's start really honing in on the inside and getting the colors right and trying to get the hair fibers and so many like smaller intricate things that you still need to work on if you really want to get this to look like a real bee. Think about that. You know, it's a lot of pressure, man. You guys put a lot of pressure on me today, yo. Let's see. Now I'm getting a little comfortable with how much to dip on the brush here. But, you know, because this is the darkest color we're using, the black, I really want to try to be as accurate as possible. I don't want to try to fix black. I'd prefer to just try to get it on the first try here. Looks like about right there. And now I got his last little nasty looking piece of his leg here at the end. And so I'm going to just extend it just a little bit more so he's actually on the swoosh. Yo, man, these things is... I really wish I hadn't Googled this thing. But I needed it for a reference, man. I needed it for a reference, so it is what it is. All right. Now I'm going to start to work on the back end here, the three pieces that are really, I think, when you see them, you already know I need to go the other way. You see the back end of these bees, right? There's one there. There's another one here. Man, I'm really, really liking this brush right here. It feels very soft and easy to blend, which is great. I think I may have gone just a little over there on this last stem, but that's okay. We can always revert back a little bit, you know. Notice I'm kind of just doing a little pop, 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 pop. This is just to get more of a fiber look, you know, like you want it to look like little hairs. So I'm just trying to get in the spots, in the little pockets that I could see. A little, you know, now you can, because you know you have a little bit of black on here, you can also add just little segments of black here and there that you could see. Let me show you guys where we're at now. Exactly, nasty little critters, man. Man, one of these things was on me the other day, dude. At the pool, at that, and it was flying right on my board shorts, and I was like, bro, nah, not with the board shorts on, dude. Leave me alone. Where did I lose my? Here it goes. Yeah, they're and these are killer bees that we're drawing today, so they're not friendly, from what I understand. Wu-Tang Killer Bees, right? I'm excited to see what this is going to come out looking like. And it's nice to see that we can time it again. You can see how long it takes me to do this while talking to you guys, so hopefully it's not... Hopefully it'll get easier with the other ones that I have to run across. Alright, so now there's one by his face. And it's a little further off. Okay, so I could see that I need to do a little bit of adjusting there. Definitely he's here. And then here. And I gotta get it to look well defined, so you could see on there. It's very obvious where his leg is. Oop. Put a little bit too much there. It almost draws in a little bit there. Okay, so that's not bad. It's close. I need to start adding a little bit here, because I could see that that's where his wing is. I need to start defining the wings out a little bit too. Alright, let's jump on this dude's eyeball. Again, it's more of a brown, but I just want to get it to, you know, be solid enough where I'm like, okay, this is definitely the spot where his eyeball is. So at least if I could even outline it a little bit. Again, it's going straight down here. So it's not rocket science where his placement is here. And then his eyeball probably ends about right there. And now we're just kind of scooting back up. Looking at the picture, referencing, okay, where's his eyeball exactly at? About right there. And then I'm going to start to come around. Taking my time, you know. No rush here. Alright, and now we see that the darker end of his eye is here on the inside. He's got a white dot on the inside. It looks like sunlight possibly. So we're going to have to wait for this to dry, and we'll add that in. Alright, now let's get his grubby little antennas on his face. So I've got one about right here. That sounds right, because it's going to cut off his eye right here. And it's going to pierce through. It looks like about right here. So again, I didn't have this on the stencil, so I'm just going to run through. By the way, I didn't even use the second stencil. We're just going at it now at this point. So we're about right there. And then the other one, I can see it, which is cool. I did have it on the stencil. But I got to be real careful with this because I don't want it to hit the yellow parts. So I'm just going to clean the brush off. Make sure any dry paint that's kind of sitting on the edge is going to be all cleaned off. And now I've got a nice clean edge here. I'm not trying to dip too much paint, just enough where I could follow the line here, okay? So I could see the lines about right here. Really thin. Ew. So gross. Alright. Sorry, I know I keep saying that, man. I hope you guys aren't bee lovers. But when you get in this microscopic, man, you're really seeing a different side of the bees. There's a leg here in the back, so I'm just trying to get a little bit. I'm barely putting any paint on this brush. I could see it here. It's barely kind of poking out here, but enough to be visible. Alright, that looks good. Alright, y'all, let me take a quick break. I don't know if anybody's even up anymore. Oh, man. Alright, so GTC asked me if I'm going to finish it up with Poscas. Obviously, I'm not. I'm just kind of messing around with whatever I got here. But, you know, as I continue to do so, I might add Poscas in here as well, especially if I have to add like little hair fibers and stuff. That might be a definitive option if I want to start to, you know, detail things out. Now, things that I've still noticed that I want to make sure that before this paint dries out completely is I want to make sure that any panels that I have that are touching the yellow, for example, like right here, now that I know like where this guy's leg is, really want to start to eliminate any paint that's supposed to be on this yellow. See, Really, we're now to the point where, okay, I know exactly where the body's at. I want to start to get the exact placement for everything. So as I'm getting the exact placement, I'm trying to get all of the yellow around it to look nice and new again, just like we didn't touch it at all. The reason I do that now is because it's still in that kind of mode for I'm still settling out. I'm still in the process of drying. Well, you want to kill it out now then, because once it's on there, it becomes more difficult. You might stain, especially yellow. You can stain it really easy. You don't want to stain the yellow because it's just a pain in the ass to even bring it back afterwards. Okay. Other things I'm going to use, and I might as well just pull one out now so I can show you guys an example, is these Micron Pigma pens. I use these a lot. Thanks, Graham. I just thought we put pressure on you. Wait, you started streaming. We just watching. Oh, you're funny, man. Explaining the background, whatnot. It's the little things that make you appreciate everything. EC Customs, man. You couldn't have said that better myself. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's just the fact that you can chillax and have a good time and create stuff that nobody else has created, man. You're like a proud person to create it, right? And so this is what life's about, is having the opportunity to breathe this beautiful air and create something beautiful at the same time, and really just enjoy what you're being able to be blessed with talent-wise. So this is what I do with the Microns here, guys. Really, really fine, detailed hairs and lines, and you can add them in here. So I'll show you guys just an example, just a small area I could do, so then you guys can see, where we're getting at here. Now you can start to even define, for example, the bee's face by just dropping in little hairs around this, this area, and that way, even small things like the wings. I'll show you how I do a wing here. Because it's very thin to paint this, you don't want to paint it. You want to look for an alternative where you could still seal it and it looks exactly like you painted it. And when you do things like this, it will start to give you the ability to really decipher the bee from the shoe, because now you're really defining all of the boundaries that you created. Now we went from, think about that, we went from just having a little white framework of a bee to now pretty much completing like the wings and detailing work of it. Look how soft I'm using this actual pen. I'm just doing it to define the areas here. You know what I mean? So this is really what you're going to boil down to is when you're adding all the fibers and hairs and stuff, you want to think smarter and not work harder. Now, I can't do the whole shoe right now with this because I just painted the actual bee, and what happens a lot of times, and I don't want it to happen to me here, but these pens, they'll jam up real easy if you start painting them with something that's still drying. Okay, so this is where we're at today with the bee. I think we did pretty good today, guys. What do you guys think? Let's show you guys the well, I guess the before, since we don't have any actual shoe. This is where we're at. Maybe I could flip this. Maybe you guys can get a little bit higher view of this guy and a lower view of that guy. How do we do, guys? Obviously, I have him on a swoosh, so he should technically be like this. But because we have him at an angle on the swoosh, he's just, you know, almost like he's just sitting on that swoosh. So this is probably where I should show it to you guys like that. Again, you know, there's work to be done. I'm still adding colors and adding fibers and hairs, and you know, gonna have to add the whites in his eyes and detail things out. But I think for what are we at right now? 2 hours, 2 hours and 11 minutes, and probably a good 45 minutes of me just babbling and not doing shit on the actual shoe. I think we did pretty good, man. I think we have had a productive session, guys. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Sorry for streaming late, so if you guys watch this later on and you guys are just now here, you know, shoot me a like, please. Shoot me a comment. Let me know if you guys learned anything new today. We do work off of donations, so if you guys have a little something to give us, unfortunately, I would have a link, but I don't have the link on me right now. Maybe let me just check the chat real quick and see if Speed Infusion fixed that bot or not. Probably didn't. No, I guess not. Okay. Well, if you guys look at any of our other streams and you guys would like to donate, or if you guys are feeling generous, we really appreciate it, man. We've had new microphones because of you guys. We've got new lighting because of you guys. And, you know, we're always trying to improve the stream. So let me just check the comments real quick, man. Papa Mesa, man, my bad, man. I just seen you right now, bro. Hopefully everything's good with you. How you been? Oh, man, EC Customs asked the $1 million question. Have you ever been stung by a bee? Man, I've been stung by a bee, and it sucks. I hate the whole... Look, if you guys look at my face right here, I got bit by a spider. It's been like 2 weeks now, and it's just been inflamed and red. So being stung by a bee, I feel like is worse, because you're usually up, and then it just comes and it's like bam, fool, and you know, I think it usually dies afterwards. But you're just like, bro, like, why me? I was just chilling, you know, I was trying to enjoy this ice cream, and you just came out the corner and just hit me up. So yes, I have, man. With those drawing pens wash off, I've always wanted to use some pens for maybe the line work and whatnot, but I haven't had the best experience with the ones I've come across. You know, what I would tell you, EC, great question, is I usually seal everything off at the end, and I have this feeling that, like, that sealer generally keeps everything, you know, intact, as long as you're spraying enough of that sealer onto the actual killed your vibe, right? Yeah, no, it's all good, man. As long as you're spraying you're spraying the sealer onto the actual shoe, and it's proportionally put on, you're not skimping on it, you should be good, man. I haven't had anyone say anything about them yet. So some great work, though. I just don't know the brand's name. Oh, okay. Yeah, I wonder if it's Posca. I mean, we use Posca pens in here too. I've used Posca before, but I'm still experimenting with Posca pens, so I'm not gonna give it that, you know, 100% yet. But when I do, I'll let you guys know my honest opinion. Thanks for everything you do, man. You've been a big part of my... Oh, that's awesome, EC. Anytime, bro. I'm happy to see that I've helped you out. You know, whether it be you know, actually showing you guys, or mentally or spiritually, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's a good vibe here, man. It's a feel good vibe, y'all. So with that said, it's 10:04, y'all. Give you guys 5 minutes. Is that good? Give you guys 5 minutes to ask any wrapping up questions. I do need to put the link for you guys for the paints I use, so I'll put those up later when I get a chance. Sorry I didn't have a chance to today. If you look in the description, it should be in there as well. Okay, so then that way you guys will be able to pick up whatever you need to pick up supply wise. So 10:04, guys. I'm gonna give you guys 5 minutes. As I'm giving you guys 5 minutes, I'm gonna just start cleaning up a little bit, man. This place is a mess, bro. I already missed dinner now. I missed all the games. What else I missed? I missed Man, I missed eating, dude. That's already bad enough. I should have ate before I jumped on, but it's all good. You know. Dad life, man. I had dad responsibilities today. I had the kids. Let's add a little white. Add a little white while we're waiting. And again, guys, if you don't have any questions in mind right now, you know, it's all good. No rush. You can always ask in the comments, and I'm there for you too, you know? This is the fun part of detailing, is just getting the little small things when people see it and like, dang, this guy even added the little white in his eyeball, yo. He added the little dots around that too. Crazy. That's how you're really going to get it to look realistic, you know, adding all the small little details behind it. Bruh, the segments on this guy's body, though. It's crazy. I'll tell you, if I seen this bee, man, I would be definitely booking it the other way. I'm good, man. I'm good on getting stung now. I'm too old to get stung. GTC, thank you so much, man. I appreciate the donation, man. I forgot, we got Super Chat, man. So, shout out to my homie Graham, GTC Reels. You're the first person on the Super Chat today, homie. I again, appreciate it. Patreon fam, supporter. Mr. Knowledge himself, man. Graham, you need to become full-time, bro. And leave that. No, I'm not going to tell you leave that job. I don't know your financial situation, bro, but I think you got enough knowledge and know how to do this for a living. I'll just keep it in that perspective before your wife comes at me and be like, yo, Graham quit his job because of you. Oh, well, because I said that one comment? Yes! That one comment is the thing that said, Graham said, I'm quitting my job tomorrow. Crazy. Sorry, sometimes I go nuts by myself, man. Quarantine got me going nuts out here. So this guy's got like white hairs, y'all. Gotta get the white hairs on deck. I think I saw a comment, so I'll check that right now, yo. My bad. Now you got me back into the actual shoe. There we go. That looks pretty. It's pretty good looking. All right, let me just wrap up some little bit of stuff here just to show you guys. You know, just to define out the wings a little bit. And some panels here need. I'm using the same brush that I just used black with, so that's why it's coming out kind of grayish in the background. Probably got to clean that up a little bit. All right, let me check that chat real quick. Your wife leaves you be. When I tell her my wife I'm streaming now, she's just like, I'm gonna go shopping, and I'm just like, damn. I hope I get enough in super chat money for whatever her shopping trip looked like. No, she goes and gets groceries and stuff, and she does her errands, which usually means one errand, and then she goes and gets like Jamba Juice, and what a nice life. I'm over here squandering away trying to get the bills paid. This is crazy, man. So I'm just like adding a little bit of white around all of the segments of his body, because we're gonna have to kind of separate now all the little fuzzy hairs that he's gonna have. trying to stay within the boundary though. Like I'm not trying to remember that first white segment that we had. We want to try to keep in that same segment. That's nice that she lets you be, man. For real, she be going on the shopping spree, bro. I'm like, what happened? She's like, well, Express was having a sale. And so Express has a sale every week, yo. Express has a sale every week. Express having a sale is not an excuse to me anymore. That's a lie. Alright. What's the time? 10:10, y'all. Let me just check and see if y'all had any questions. If not, I don't know why you guys are rocking with me still. You ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get up out of here. Alright. Let's see what we got. Alright. Again, Graham, thank you so much for the super chat. $4.99, brother. I appreciate you so much. Time of the day. How's Cali though? Have you always lived there? Always lived here my entire life, man. I love California, bro. Like, I don't think I can move away from LA. This is my life out here, man. Well, we all go nuts. You need to be an artist as art supplies and paint without the... Exactly, man, for sure. Exactly, you see. Alright, y'all. Let me show you a last glimpse. If I have time, let me know if you guys want me to continue this little bee and see if we can see a final product. I might be painting a little bit of this bee later on tonight, just because I got to catch up. But I love doing these little projects, man. This is a lot of fun, just to create realism. This is definitely a different version of doing a Wu-Tang custom too. So, yeah. All right, y'all. With that said, my name is Suhail with Feel Good Threads. I don't know where my mouse went. Please follow me on social media. I'm right up there, patreon.com/feelgoodthreads, where if you guys want to support, it's supporting for less than a coffee per month. And you guys will learn, I promise you that, okay? Mr. Madlock, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you too. And with that said, guys, I thank you for being on. I know we're on a little late today. Comment below, let me know if you guys like this stream, if you guys learned anything. And I'm out of here, y'all. Graham, I'm out of here. Peace.